So the Senate just got together and made some legislation, a bipartisan legislation that is going to put sanctions on Saudi Arabia. All right. Now, if Trump signs that, I don't want to hear shit about Trump being a puppet of Saudi Arabia. This guy just stopped fueling the airplanes that are dropping bombs in Yemen, the Saudi Arabia airplanes. He cut the fueling off of that. So he has nothing to do with the bombing, the airstrike bombers that are coming down in Yemen for Saudi Arabia. So now are you going to continue to give me this bullshit about Trump being a puppet of Saudi Arabia? No, hell no. Why would I not think this guy is not a puppet of Saudi Arabia when this motherfucker got business dealings going on out there? Why do you think they got such a big arms deal? They didn't get a big arms deal because they deserved it or they're just some great nation that we should help out with weapons. He did that because they're doing each other favors. I mean, you gotta be fucking blind not to see that. Dude, he also just signed the Magnitsky Act. You know what the Magnitsky Act is, created by your boy Obama. I mean, this guy just froze assets and traveled to at least like a dozen of people who had something to do with that murder of the murder of that reporter. I mean, if Trump was a puppet, he wouldn't be doing things like that to Saudi Arabia. I mean, for him to take, I'm sure when Obama did the Magnitsky Act, he was like, oh yeah, you know, he's really tough on Russia. But now that Trump does this to Saudi Arabia, it's just not good enough. And cutting off fuel for the planes that are bombing Yemen, just not good enough. If he signed this legislation that the Senate just drew up to slap sanctions on Saudi Arabia, I'm sure that won't be good enough. And let's not act like Trump is the only motherfucker that didn't give Saudi Arabia an arms deal. I think Obama gave them like $110 billion, signed like $110 billion weapons deal with Saudi Arabia. I mean, wouldn't he be a puppet too by your logic? Actually, it was $115 billion that it was $115 billion deal that Obama did with Saudi Arabia. But that arms deal, that $115 billion arms deal that Obama did was through the course of years. You're getting this $110 billion number. That's why it's standing out in your head, because that's part of Trump's deal. Trump gave them $110 billion off top. That's what they get immediately. Okay, that's the difference between $115 billion given through a course of years than $110 billion off top. And through the course of years, Saudi Arabia is getting $350 billion. It's $350 billion tied up in that weapons deal through the course of 10 years. And you're telling me that this guy's not a puppet of Saudi Arabia? Man, get the fuck out of here. I guarantee you that if North Korea was doing a genocide somewhere, we would have blew that shit off the map. But he has personal dealings with Saudi Arabia, so he's not going to do that. Stopping the plane fueling, that's not going to stop the genocide in Yemen. Signing the Magnitsky Act, which is going to affect like some odd few businessmen in Saudi Arabia, how is that going to stop a genocide in Yemen? How the fuck freezing assets and not allowing people to travel to the U.S., certain individuals, and he's freezing their assets from here. Not all of their money, just the money that they're making here, okay? And they can't travel here. That's going to stop a genocide in Yemen. Do you think that's really hurting Saudi Arabia? That's not really hurting them. And I don't even think he's going to sign that piece of legislation. We'll see. It depends on what's in it. I got to read that legislation and see if it's really some strong sanctions in there. And if it's strong sanctions in there, he's not going to fucking sign it, okay? You can guarantee it. He's not going to sign it. Set your fucking watch, dog, because this dude is a puppet of Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia and Israel is up Trump ass, okay? He's up their ass, I should say. When it comes to any other country, yeah, he might be a little tough, but them two, He not tough on them. I give you that Russia shit, a lot of holes in the argument with Russia, but when it comes to Israel and Saudi Arabia, dog. Puppet. So if Trump doesn't sign the bill, he's a puppet of Saudi Arabia. That's your proof that he's a puppet of Saudi Arabia. And this is funny because Obama vetoed the 9/11 bill because he didn't want Americans getting inside the pockets of Saudi Arabia. Ain't that a trip? Like, where were you guys at when this happened? He vetoed that bill. Thank God the Senate and the House, did away with that, and they overturned his veto. Because who the fuck does that? Saudi Arabia attacks us, kills a bunch of people, and Obama tells the citizens that are affected by 9/11 and that attack, and who had family members die, look, we're not going to do anything for you. Saudi Arabia is not going to do anything for you. Even though they did the attack, we're not going to get in their pockets because of whatever fucking bunch of platitudes that he threw out in the speech. I don't even remember what the fuck he said about them because I was so disgusted about it. And none of you guys didn't feel anything. You just follow along like the sheep you are. Okay? And inside that 115 billion dollar weapons deal, that included cluster bombs. Do you know cluster bombs are banned in 119 countries because they're so fucking deadly? Okay? But Obama's a really good guy. All right, get the fuck up out of here, man. And included in this bill that Trump signed, this weapons deal that he did with Saudi Arabia is tied up into infrastructure too. Saudi Arabia is going to give us $20 billion for our infrastructure. All right. And this is something that I hear you fucking libtards bitch about all the time. Is what about the infrastructure? What about the infrastructure? Well, this guy right here struck a deal where Saudi Arabia will be paying $20 billion onto our infrastructure, where it lifts the burdens off the taxpayer. He doesn't want taxpayers to be paying for the infrastructure. So on top of us not paying for infrastructure through our tax dollars, he also is going to be creating jobs. But that doesn't mean anything because Trump tweeted something bad. Trump hurt my feelings in the tweet. Trying to make America great again, and we got libtards like you that always look at something else. You know what? Fuck you.